What's up guys, it's me, I am back. Most of you might remember my last video where I challenged myself to pick up a £2 deck off eBay. It was the cheapest deck that I could find and I wanted to see if I could get a decent sound out of it. Unfortunately, after an awful lot of work removing the transport, I managed to find that 3 of the gears were made of cheese. Now this is quite common with Philips decks. They basically disintegrated and I thought that was absolutely the end. In the comments, a guy called Ferrograph said possibly you could 3D print them. So I thought to myself, maybe I can find some 3D cogs online. And lo and behold, there was a guy selling an STL file for £8 and these 3 gears came out looking perfect. So we fired them into the 3D printer through Chi2 box. I've got a resin printer and lo and behold, I got myself 3 brand new gears. So let's see how that goes. Right then, so here we are then. So the first thing I want to do is we've got to work out what cog out of that set of 3 is going to replace what. So luckily we have some bits left. So the first one I'm going to replace is this one, and I believe this should just pop off there with this one. If I can do that without losing that, because I can't 3D print a circlip. Perfect. Very nice. So a little bit of oil and then the circlip back on, and that is one of the 3 sorted. All right. Refit that and refit our arm there, and that should be excellent. Okay, next one's on the other side, and you notice this bar that fits in there. You can see as that slides up and down, we've got that on the back of there. This has been roughly sanded just because it was kind of domed when I printed it. This may or may not need more work, but we'll find out in a second. So I think if I can remove this white bar. Yep. And then this one's next. I did break that one myself, so that's kind of entirely my fault. And this one should fit on top of there, and we're probably going to have to ream that out as well. Yep. So for this one, my reaming set isn't that great. It doesn't go that high, so we're looking for 2.8mm. So we've got a drill bit, 2.8mm, 2.7, which is good. So let's put that one down the centre of that cog. You can see there's a little bit of a difference there. I've been winding this in reverse because it's a little bit gentler. And that's just reaming that out nicely there. Just a dab of oil on there. And this should hopefully... Perfect. Something's catching. So if you look at how that's connecting there and there, it's not meshing, sorry. The rest of the wheel is working fine until you get to just there. There's too much play in it. So I believe that is cause for a reprint. So I'm going to go reprint one of these. What we can do while it's reprinting is fit the 3rd one, which is the one inside the transport, which is essentially our fast forward and rewind reel. So I'm just removing the parts that are on top of it. Get this mush out of here on my finger because I can get it all in one. And there's a clutch underneath there, felt clutch. So I'm going to have to refit that as well. There we go. So we've got our felt and our spring. Perfect. Then our returning plate. And now our circlip. No. Pinged it. Let me find it. Look where it ended up. Right in the back of there. I had to do that off camera because there was no amount of swearing that was going to be going on my videos, I'm afraid. But we're in, we're on, we're sorted. It goes this way around, so it's in line with both of the reels, and this is our fast forward and rewind. Once the transport's together, this will move to side when you press forward and rewind, and it'll move the reels, which are here and here. So let's go and pull that reprint off and see where we get next. Alright, so second go around then. It's been a little bit tight here and there. As you can see, I've marked a couple of the teeth that I've had to kind of trim with a Stanley blade, but we are all singing, all dancing, and I'm pretty content that this is going to do the job. So let's actually rebuild this, finally, after all that. Right, so our new, I'm going to say mode select wheel, because it does look like a mode select wheel, is now fitted, and we just need to refit this over the top. If anyone can remember how it went on, that'd be nice. That's a lot better. That is a lot better. And if you look on where we had the issue before for this cog meshing with the smaller one, 100%, it's not skipping any teeth or anything like that, so we are good. Happy with that. So back onto this side then, we have already rebuilt this once, but it had to all come off again. This cog has got a square drive, as you can see, and fits into there. And then over the top of that, we've got our arm with our entirely new cog fitted as well, which also should do the job. Alright, so we've got everything in now, all three gears are done. It's time to rebuild the transport and see if this thing will actually play a tape. So it has obviously been a minute since I took this apart, so this has been a bit of a challenge to try and remember what was where. But the first thing we're going to put in is our capstan. Everything's been cleaned at this point as well. And I do kind of hat off to the engineering of these things. That's got a little spring that's part of it in order to maintain the position of the capstan. So I'm just going to fit these two washers back over the top. Let's see if I can get this to fit. And the mounting of this is a little bit wobbly, but it's retained in place once we put that on there. So we can fire our new belt on for a start then, so let's get in amongst that. If I can get right underneath the motor first. Right. There's step one. Is that tight enough? No. I need a smaller belt. So after deliberating on my selection of belts, I think I found the perfect one. Let's see if we can hook that around the motor. We can. And without knocking everything off, around the capstan. Well, my hands are in the way. Sorry guys. Come on. Okay, tension. Excellent. Step one done. Alright, as you can see, I'm back again. I've had to take the capstan belt off because I forgot that there is a belt on this as well, and the only way I can retain this from falling off is to kind of wrap it over the top and just sit it there. So Horrible. Don't ever give me one of these. I don't want to see this ever again. So let's see if I can get this on without swearing or breaking it further. I've reviewed my previous video and just basically had a quick look as to where everything is. Hopefully, in the chance of some form of guidance, that I can fit it in the same place. So wish me luck. A minute. It's the sideways attack. The sideways attack did it. Right. Well, that looks promising for a start. No popping and wiggling required. We are in. Capstan belt is on. Mode select belt. Selects modes. That's going to be spinning. Look at that. It seems to almost look like a cassette deck now. And I remembered as well is that this bad boy is the wheel which drives our thing about half a mile. It's so far over here, it's out of the video. That's our counter belt which goes on the top of that. So without the counter belt, this should run, which is there is some parts that we need to just plop into place, so I'm going to do that now, and then we can do a small test. We can put this final screw back in over here. I'm anticipating this isn't going to work and it's all going to have to come back apart again, but cross some fingers. Next, I believe we have got this, which works off the back of the right hand reel, and this powers our counter. So it was that, and then on top of that we have this kind of weird offset thing that I'm just going to drop all over. Now I aren't looking forward to this because there's a spring and a washer and a circlip. And in the process of this, I also have this spring that I can't actually remember where it came from. But to be honest with you, that's the only part I've got left. So I see it as a win. I think it's down there somewhere, but we'll work it out. purple washer, which I intend to hold down with these tweezers like that. And now I've done that, I have no way of attaching the circlip. Then it is white washer. Like so. Right, hold your breath. Ooh. Is that seated? Nearly. That's it. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I never want to take that off ever again. And we can fit our new belt, which should be the right size now. I don't think this deck is technologically advanced enough to wait a minute, that goes under there like that. I don't think this deck is technologically advanced enough to run a sensor off the counter. I think actually it's this bar here when we fit this piece of plastic over the top. We're on to the penultimate piece of the puzzle now, because I've still got a spring that I can't remember where it went. So this bar goes in there and attaches onto there. We've greased all this and we've greased all this, and that sits on top of there and presses down without breaking. Yes. Looks correct to me. Right, the last thing is that spring, which I know is probably a silly thing to do to leave it to last, but I seem to remember taking that off pretty early in the disassemble, so I found out where it goes. It basically just attaches to the recording cut-off switch arm like that. This is the recording cut-off switch electrical connection, and this arm here is what mechanically moves the recording cut-off switch. So if I were to move that by hand, you will see, like so, that's the recording cut-off switch activating and deactivating, and it activates this switch at the same time. I think we're done. Right, so we're all ready for the big test. I have reattached the recording cut-off switch up here. I've not touched anything else. I've literally just put this together, and I am hoping this is going to work, because it's been about, I don't want to know. I don't want to think about how long it's been, but it's been good fun, to be honest with you. It's been something that's simplistic but utterly, utterly complicated. Right, let's try. Rewind does work and kicks off. Hopefully it's because it's not sensing tape. Fast forward working. Play working. It's loud. Let me turn it over so you guys can see this absolute marvel of engineering. It's like a steam engine. Absolutely wild, man. Absolutely just wild. I've never seen anything like it, but it's very satisfying that it's now working. So I think what I'm going to do now is let's get to some basic cleaning. Clean up of the front, fire it through, make sure we're getting a good speed, see what it sounds like, see what we can get out of it, and then it's going to be given away. Wahoo! If you want it, obviously. Maybe you don't want it. You don't ever want to service it again. I'll tell you that for free. But yeah, let's get on. A little bit of cleaning and an actual test. Does the thing look? Oh, actually. Rewind is good speed. Not reasonable speed, actually. It's loud. It is loud. and it plays as well. I've got no levels on this because I think this is a blank tape, if I'm honest. As I look around, I don't have a musical tape, but I am going to play some music through it. Right, head clean, pinch roller clean, dust inside, clean on the outside, refit everything, and God knows how to change the speed on this. I have no idea, but speed test, azimuth test, and done. So one last thing then before we start, these Phillips are known for their erase heads just melting basically. They were obviously made or built to a pretty low standard. So upon inspection, I'll show you, the centre of the erase head is basically dropped down, as you can see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace that phone out the parts bin. Let's unscrew this and then we can solder a new one in. New one is a standard white erase head, fresh out the parts bin. ME136, I'm going to say. This is from, I don't even know, a radio alarm clock I think it was from. But I'll pull this, fit this, solder the wires on, and hopefully we shall be in business when we come to test. Now it's out the top, then you can see the I think the erase bit in the middle is held in with glue and it's just dropped. So what's going to happen there is when you go to erase the tape, nothing will happen and you end up with double recording. It's always good to check the heights as well, so that's good, and we've also got a guide there which will work just in our favour. And there we have it, one new erase head. As you can see, down inside is still a bit mucky, but that's seated perfect. The dimensions are the same, and we're ready to rock and roll, finally. So at best guess, that pot on the back of the transport there, if I zoom out, I've got a torch on because it's quite difficult to see. We're on the back of the transport. That pot there, in between the counter belt, I'm going to go with the speed adjustment. So that's what I'm going to try. Let's do a speed test and get this to spec, and hopefully we can play some tunes. Right then, so this is my spectrometer screen as I'm testing the tape. We're looking at 6.3 kilohertz, and that is low. So the blue number in the top right says 6 kilohertz, 6,000 hertz, and I'm going to twiddle a pot and hopefully we can get that to come up in speed. There is a nice straight line, so the wow and flutter's not too bad. No, that was down. And there we're up there between 6281 and 6375. So dead in the middle, 6,300 we're looking for, 6.3 kilohertz. So simultaneously then we're going to do a recording test and also a playback test. I have YouTube Studio Music inputted into there. Weirdly, you pull this knob to get a balance. So if you look at this, it'll knock the channels round so you can have a little bit of play with the balance and the levels at the same time. So pull for balance and then just turn for levels. Ignore the den on deck that's underneath it. I'm having to play about with that as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this to have about, I don't know, 5 or 6 minutes of recording, and then we'll play it back. And because it's on YouTube Studio, it means I can actually play some tunes, which was a couple of gripes in the comments I totally agree with. And then it'll be the final result of all that work, and hopefully we'll be able to listen to whatever this song is. Apparently it's funky. So we're all recorded, we're ready to rock and roll. I don't think the wow and flutter, the quality is going to be amazing, let's be honest, but as long as it records, and it records a general decent quality, I think we're on a winner. So without further ado, let's press play and see what we get. I'm going to call that a success. A little bit of wow and flutter to be expected. I don't think that there's that much wow and flutter when I'm on playback. I think it's more the combination of doubling the wow and flutter between recording and playback at the same time. It's not going to be amazing at everything. It was £2. It's caused us a little bit of work and hassle, but hopefully you appreciate the fact that I can actually demonstrate this now with some YouTube Studio music, which is unbelievably hard to find a song that is actually any good. But I'm going to call this one done, so let's wrap it up. So there we go, guys, end of a journey, and when I say journey, I mean a slog. Let's say an upwards battle in the rain with wind in your face. But it's done. It's probably not perfect as opposed to what it was when it came out of the factory, but this is the absolute best that we can do with the tools and the techniques at hand. We've got it working. That was the aim of this when I started out with this. And for £2, you have a pretty good playback deck. You probably have an average recording deck, I would say. But if you just want to play some tapes at home, maybe you're part of a mixtape exchange or something, then this is the deck for you. And as I promised at the start of the video, I will spend my hard-earned spondoolers. I will box this up and I will send this to your house if you so want it. There is a couple of rules. You've got to be in the UK. And number two, you got to have like the need for this deck. All right. If you've got a load of 3-head decks and you collect decks, maybe let it go to somebody who hasn't got a deck. Okay. So if you want one, I will send you a couple of tapes and this deck and cable connectors and everything that you need to attach this to an amplifier and start your tape journey. So what I want you to do is in the comments down below, put yes please, I would like this deck. And what I'll do is I'll give it a couple of days, let the views rack up a little bit, and probably in about 4 or 5 days, maybe a week, something like that, I'll pick a name at random, reply to them, message them, and I'll give you my contact details. Get in touch and I will send you this absolutely FOC free of charge. So that brings us to the end. I hope you enjoyed this video. If it was good for you, it was good for me. So please drop a like and subscribe. Please subscribe. It's always very nice seeing the subscriptions going up. And it's always very nice to see people are enjoying these videos. So maybe drop a comment, say, yeah, that was good. Or if you hated it, then, you know, just lie and say you liked it anyway. But it's good for my ego. On to the next one. I will see you probably in a week or so. I've got a little bit of work on. I've got some decks that are coming in that need a little bit of twiddling for some other people. And we'll see where we go and what we do. But pretty soon, if you want it, this could be yours. Let me know. Until then, I bid you adieu.